bringing you another game, masterful game by MRJobe, as you will see as this plays along. This is MRJobe versus Vladimir Kramnik, a Russian master. He has been around for quite a while. He's played a lot of people, done a lot of things, won a lot of awards, been a cool person pretty much over the course of his time. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a game between MRJobe and Vladimir Kramnik, and I will show you how masterfully MRJobe plays and how he dominates the board during this game. Now pay attention, and you will learn some really good chess techniques. So I will point them out to you when they occur. Okay, now the first thing is actually one of the first chess techniques you need to learn how to do. MRJobe takes the advantage of being white. He is team white this time, and his first move is to take h7. Now he is threatening the rook here. I mean the rook, the knight. And so there's a kind of a dilemma. What is he going to do? So what he moves it down here in order to block this piece, so he can actually take the pawn. But that is actually met by the pawn taking the knight on h6. Now at this point he decides to move down and to protect it from with the bishop, and then the rook can take that. But the rook is keeps being held at bay from taking that kinds of things, because it just continues to happen where he just is so intent. He wants to take that pawn, but he just can't do it because MRJobe keeps blocking the possibilities. He takes his bishop and he places it on the diagonal to protect the pawn. Then he brings his he wants to bring another piece into play, but he doesn't want to hurt his king, so he goes ahead and says, okay, well, if I can't take it now, I'm going to start something different here. Now, at this point in the game, MRJobe is starting to position himself to eye down the pieces of Vladimir Kramnik in order to start taking them off one by one, because right now, as you can see, he has a 4, 5, 6, 7 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 majority. Now, what MRJobe chooses to do at this point is he goes ahead and takes the rook, and he decides, rather than taking the queen, he does another bishop. He just takes it and turns it into a bishop. You'll see why in a minute. Now at this point you'll see that he's kind of in a bind here. So he opens up a way out for his queen and his bishop, but it's too late. Because MRJobe decides to protect his other bishop with this bishop, and having three bishops, it's quite a daunting thing. So what does he do? I mean, if he moves here, there's all sorts of possibilities of the pieces over here being taken one by one. So he has to keep this guy's guarded. So what he's going to do now is he's going to prepare to move his bishop out and his queen up, so that he can castle on the queen side. Now that being said, MRJobe decides to take the advantage by taking the knight with the bishop and putting his king in check. Now the king, there's not many things he can do here. He can go here, but he needs at least something he can take with. And he's running out of pieces. He's slowly running out of pieces. If he pushes bishop here, really he doesn't have a choice. And so MRJobe, of course, takes the bishop and puts him in check, and the queen comes up. Not really much of a choice there of what to do. Now, in this particular scenario, MRJobe seizes the opportunity to fork the king and the queen. The king is really forced to move now. He can't really do anything. Now he can't castle, which was the whole point of MRJobe's move. Now, there's really nothing that Vladimir Kramnik could do at this point. In fact, throughout the course of the game, he continued to be assaulted by all of the pieces MRJobe just constantly assault. And there was no basically there was no return. There was no way of thwarting what he had done. So he moves that out, and of course, the knight takes the queen, and the king takes the knight. You have to take back because you're running low in pieces. Now, as you see, MRJobe has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces to the 2. Vladimir Kramnik was very frustrated in this game. He didn't know quite what was going on. He didn't understand why MRJobe was making the moves he made or how he was able to make those moves. But he was a pretty good sport about it. He wasn't very happy. So he moves and he takes that knight, and then MRJobe moves out to block any kind of exit in this direction. Now, the rook, as you see right here, the rook is kind of jammed in, and so is the bishop. So in order to do something, he decides to move the pawn down to give his bishop a way to escape. Of course, MRJobe plays up the bishop to order to attack the king, and he blocks. But blocking really didn't do him a whole lot of good, because MRJobe decided to attack the king with the rook. Well, of course, he takes it with his rook, and he takes it with the bishop, and now retake the bishop. So now Kramnik at least has MRJobe down to 4 pieces. MRJobe then slides his bishop down in order to get it out of the attack that it was occurring right there. And so Kramnik decides to grab more space by moving his pawn up. Now, MRJobe at this particular stage decides that he's going to make some good moves, better than even the ones that he had made before. This is a special move I'll show you in a minute. The pawn being under attack, there's not a whole lot he can do. I mean, he is protected by the bishop, but if he takes it, then the bishop will retake. But so he basically keeps his knight right there for now. He can't really move it up because then it would be taken very quickly by one of MRJobe's pieces. Okay, so what does he do? He moves his king up to protect his 2 unprotected pawns, or well, this one's protected. MRJobe decides to go ahead and castle his king because he didn't like the way this was working out over here. And so Kramnik is kind of in what they call a zugzwang. There's not really any good move he can make. He decides to move the pawn up and preparing to move the king over to protect both of these pawns. But unfortunately for him, MRJobe does come up and put him in check. Now he can't go here, he can go there. So and he could go any one of those 3 pieces. He actually go there, but he's putting himself in harm's way. But there's just too much danger down here, really. There's no way to block the move. There's no way to block it. He's got this space, and this one, and this one. So he chooses to come forward since there's no black bishop on Team White. Well, that was quickly changed because the black bishop came out, and it was now black, and the king was now under fire again. Well, there's no place to go now. He has to move the king up. Now the queen comes up to attack the king, and deliver a final blow of checkmate. There is nowhere he can go. He can't go back here. He can't escape check. He can't go to any of these 3 places, and the piece over here is guarded. So that was the amazing game of MRJobe versus Vladimir Kramnik. This was played last year at the Historical Society of Switzerland. They held a tournament there, and they invited several of these players to play. And that was just amazing. The crowd there was stunned. They had heard about MRJobe. They heard about his abilities to play just totally different kinds of moves that they weren't used to seeing, and he's basically changing the face of chess. the mechanisms that the early masters were using of gaming space really didn't apply here. And the positional chess plays that other masters had thought was so important now didn't matter at all either. So we are wondering, what can anyone do to stop this win after win after win of MRJobe? We will hope that some of the future players give him a little bit of, some of the other grandmasters may have a different approach in order to take out at least get a victory against MRJobe. Now, I want to say I would like you, if you would, to subscribe to my channel. Ludicrous videos and MRJobe, the Super GM. I will continue to make these videos, and I hope you appreciate them. Hope you like them, and I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Until then, bye-bye.